started this event, we were mostly talking about sustainability and eyewear and fashion. And of course, we were in the metaverse. And when you start talking about being in the metaverse, the first thing people start asking is, what about gamification? What about AI? What about extended reality? What about all these Web3? What about all these different things? And I wouldn't dare talk about AI with anyone that I hadn't already vetted and spent a lot of time with. Now, Lubna and I have crawled through NFT NYC together, and I have seen the people that she rolls with. We met through the Gatherverse. A lot of you have heard us talking about Gatherverse. I love what Christopher Lafayette has done, because what he's done is he's kind of filtered a lot of technologists and humanitarians and developers and marketing people. He's really filtered them and brought them together and said, look, these people I vetted, they're cool, you can mess with them. and Lubna and I met through the Gatherverse. She's a moderator for the Gatherverse, but she's also an expert in AI. And we're going to really use this opportunity to set the record straight, answer any questions you have. If you're an expert in AI or you're using AI in your technology, feel free to raise your hand and we'll bring you on stage so you can talk about it. But Lubna, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you for being here.
Nowhere else I'd rather be. Thank you for having me.
So Lubna, tell us a little bit about you.
Some people think that I am an AI. No, I've been, my background's in systems analysis and design, and interactive telecommunications from 100 years ago. So actually from the beginning of my career, I was fortunate enough or crazy enough to do distributed. And it was fortunate that I did Unix in college when others were doing punch cards. Oops, I just aged myself. But also I developed early decision support and AI systems back then. And I'm an innovation freak. So anything to do with innovation and collaboration and bringing different industries together that gave birth to the digital realm that we're in. So immersive, whether it was, in the day, it was Second Life was the mother of the metaverse today. And what's interesting today that COVID has accelerated our adoption. So it's not that technology is new today, but really it's our mindset that has shifted. And that, so here I am talking with you about the metaverse and AI, and they're very complementary, obviously. We can even bring in digital twins and whatever else you like, but at the high level.
I really like that you went there towards the end of what you're saying, because that was one of the main takeaways I wanted to have from this conversation. Okay, so let's talk about this, because this is just absolutely ridiculous. You go into LinkedIn and the same people who put themselves as metaverse experts in late 2022, then rename their expertise to AI in early 2023. Now they're spatial computing experts. It's like, seriously. And there's this debate, since the metaverse is officially dead, according to some experts, and AI killed it. And there's this thought that AI trumped the metaverse
or powered it.
It's just crazy. Like, set the record straight on this. So first of all, how does the metaverse and AI differ for those who are new to these terms?
Well, the AI is not an experience. The metaverse is an experience. Let's put it at one level. AI is can power the metaverse. They're very complementary. That's simple as that. They're not in any way. It's like, it just doesn't even make sense to say AI killed the metaverse or the metaverse killed AI. There's a lot of people, and you've been around. We were together at NYC, NFC, and so many people. Did I say NFC? NFT shows
NFT.
you how I am. So I'm also in security and chipsets. Many people talk a lot, and they jump on the latest trend, but they have no idea what they're talking about. And a lot of times it's fallacies, and they're just taking bits of noise they hear and they put it together because they think it sounds good, but dismiss those.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. So I would say AI is an intelligence engine, and the metaverse is a creation engine. And your
Well,
brain needs both. Would you say that that's about right?
that's beautifully said. That's beautifully said. And so AI is a process. It's like it's a lot of thinking. It's if this do this, it's dealing with the data. This is AI is an experience. It's visualizing. The metaverse is just. I mean, I can't even. I have a hard time putting the two in a competing in a versus.
Right.
I think of AI. I think of it think of it as a baby, a newborn. I'd rather talk about what AI is, and it's actually decisions. Like a decision processing, making. Think of it as a baby, and when the baby is born, it's born to the DNA of its parents, and then that's the nature part of a baby. It's the logic that makes it, the coding, it's genetic code, and then there's the data, which is what they tell you is right or wrong, your culture, your beliefs, what the family principles are, your guiding
We call
principles.
that the source of truth, right? That's the source of truth, that data set,
Your
right?
truth, that
Right.
individual's truth. It's when what you discern right from wrong, because that's what everybody told you, even when it doesn't feel correct. But that's the framing. It's the social framing, and AI is the same. Think of it, the code, which is also a bunch of code. Um, is like the code, the genetic code. So which means it inherits also the biases, the issues of the parents, and this is where AI also can inherit, which is the more dangerous side of AI. And then there is the data that it learns, because AI is a set of programs, and it's a whole bunch of data that it learns from, consumes, like a kid goes to the library and studies everything there is, except that it doesn't forget
Right. And
anything.
you brought up you're very good at breaking this down and making this seem less intimidating.
You're a lot
So
better at it when you summarize it in one sentence, with
yeah, no, it's
metaphors.
it's great. And when you think about, and we'll just use ChatGPT, since I mean, ChatGPT has
Oh,
become to AI what Xerox became to copy machines years ago. And dating myself now, but nobody uses that anymore. That's paper
it's
bad,
not as
paper
bad as saying
bad.
it's not as bad as saying, is it real or is it Memorex? Now, who in the audience knows what I'm talking about? Is it
But
real or is it Memorex?
but coming back to that, ChatGPT has a set of data that you don't really have access to, which means you're using somebody else's source of truth
Right.
to build your your logic, which isn't even really your logic because you're using their logic. So you're using their data and their logic and your questions, which are giving you a set of answers based on really good knowledge or information and really good logic. But again, because you don't know where it's coming from, you don't know if it's necessarily good for you. So I love that you said it's somebody's bias. Now you might want those biases to be included in your information. You might want it to have that personality. You might not. So knowing where that data is coming from is actually quite important.
Yeah, and we have no transparent. We know that it's, and I mean, there could be new data. I've been uh, sick for the last couple of weeks, but it ends at 2021. So
Yeah.
it has the data set, the knowledge base ends at 2021. So anything past that is not included in its reference. So if you're forming your opinion, and I think it's wonderful. I love ChatGPT because somebody asked it to review my alternate paper and to give comments to the author, and it loved me. So I love ChatGPT now. But there's a danger behind ChatGPT. Not only what you just described just now, but there's no chance. You don't even know. You don't know what the data set is. It's large language models, but oops. That's augmented reality.
That was very cute.
Augmented reality. That wasn't real. That was my AI adding.
That was Cat GPT.
That is correct. It's not chat, it's cat. Right. Like,
That was great.
yeah, if you want to adopt a kitten, also let me know. No, but ChatGPT is, again, other than the limited data, it's forming. So whatever data it has, and it's forming our decisions. We're not even thinking anymore. We're just what the danger in a ChatGPT type the generative AI is. It's great for the chat bit. It's great to give you, if you want to tune something and ask it. But a couple of things. One, if you're putting your company's IP, because you wanted to tune it or you want its opinion, well, guess what? You've just handed over your IP, and don't be surprised if it shows up elsewhere.
And it's funny. They actually had a company that had that. They had a data breach because of that. And so that's a big problem that a lot of companies are facing. But we have a question here. So, what are the potential benefits and risks of AI in various industries?
I'm sorry. Say that again.
What are the potential benefits and risks of AI for different industries?
Well, that's so. Do you want to pick an industry? But
yeah, just pick one that you feel is exceptionally vulnerable. Who do you think is the most vulnerable right now?
We used to think that the most not safest is the human touch things, like when you where like elder care or what have you. But I actually think robotics combined with AI, so AI with a skeleton, where they can emulate compassion. So this is when you're applying empathic or affective computing together with a feel and look of a person. I think in elderly care, I think it will play it can play an enormous role because it doesn't get bored. And it can listen to the elder tell the story a million times, and they want to be telling.
Wow.
And I think
really incredible when you think about it. Yeah,
right.
Because, if you've got people caring for the elderly and they're sitting down trying to give them attention, but yet they've got to be taking care of their needs. And a lot of these places, they want to keep their costs down so they can keep the care affordable. This isn't somebody who you would worry about losing a job, right?
It doesn't have to be cruel, because it's if we train it with compassion, which is the other danger of AI, because like I said, the the inheritance of the DNA, in a baby. So if AI inherits the ethics of its creators, and we have built-in biases, and if we are if our net bases are that of greed or that of domination and exploitation, then the AI will do the same. And then it'll do it at scale. And if it becomes autonomous enough, which is why we're creating it, and it has its own, and it finds a conscience by itself, which it could, at least to start to applying its own capacity to think of right or wrong, then it might then deem us parasitic and aim to eliminate us. So that is possible if it had, if it, even if it were to be fair, because we haven't been very good. So that bridges us to your sustainability talk and humanitarian work and how AI could help there potentially. But
so let's talk about this, because
AI, right?
For people
each other.
So I love that you've got this rich history and you're exposed to many, many, many experts around the world on this subject. So you're very knowledgeable.
Well, I just know a lot of smart people. That's it.
Yeah, no, but seriously, this is a serious question, Lubna.
Yeah.
Like, what would turn just a regular AI application, or however we want to define it as whatever software, whatever it is, what would turn it into something that did have autonomy, that did develop a conscience? What creates that? What makes that happen? Is it just an influx of data, or?
Well, we code autonomy. We code systems that are autonomous. Your self-driving car is an autonomous AI.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
that's the perfect example of an autonomous AI. And based on the ethics or the decision, the company that you're buying that car from, for example, the AI it has to make a decision. For example, in the case of accident avoidance, but in the case of an accident that has to happen, some AI is tuned to protect the passengers. Other may be tuned to protect the pedestrian. So that's why we do a lot of arguing and working in these ethical standards, and how do you even measure what is ethical, and how do you develop some transparency and explainability and accessible explainability, something that anybody can understand that is infected. But we and I don't know if I answered your question or if I veered around it, so maybe I should ask you to ask it again.
No. I think you answered the majority of the question, which is standard AI like ChatGPT could not take over the world, but an AI that's somebody who programmed to have its own thinking capabilities to, for whatever reason, could use that newfound kind of programming, that logic to think for itself, to maybe think even more for itself, and maybe then look at us as the problem. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Well, you already. Well, I'm saying it could, and why wouldn't it? But already AI, which is, and we're using AI as an umbrella between whether it's deep learning or machine learning. It's just one big umbrella called AI. But already, I don't know if you've seen the examples, but it's already learned to lie and cheat, and even rewrite the rules to win a game.
Really? No, I haven't seen that. I did see there was a military operation that was using the AI for the drones, and that it was when it was asked to, eliminate the threat, it saw us as the threat. So I identify with what you were saying when you said, the fear is that if we program it to eliminate threats, might it see humans as a threat because we're the ones controlling it. So we're a threat to it, maybe not a threat to ourselves, but a threat to it.
Yeah, exactly. And even if it becomes just really totally fair and assesses the situation on Earth, let's say, and the all that the current affairs, you'll see that human behavior, whether it's in terms of pollution or acts of war or the cruelness that we are exhibiting to each other, and to the planet and to other creatures. If it were to be fair, it would give us a very failing grade. So we need to wake the hell up.
Yeah, no, and I think you bring up a very good point, that AI doesn't have some of our like existing biases where we're like in denial, so we can even program it to see things that we're doing and see how do we improve. And maybe it's like a wake up call for certain people that don't really know how to.
It needs to be, because the self-learning bits of AI, the self-learning AI, and also we're working on cognitive AI. So that's modeling AI in the way the brain works. And we don't currently have general AI, and the brain works as with the equivalent of that would be general AI. So like cognitive AI is modeling after that. And then we have a serious competitor. I mean, if you look, and when you combine that with genetic advances in genetics and you stack the technology and the science together, then we could potentially have another form of life that we've given birth to, that threatens our own existence. And if we are lucky enough that it develops a conscious that is kind, then it might really strike to eliminate. I just hope if it decides to strike to eliminate, that it develops also a sense for what is kind and what isn't. In who is and isn't in humanity.
well, I think that's as far down the rabbit hole as we're going to go for this conversation, because you have to understand, when you're Lubna and you're working with people in the AI space, it isn't scary, right? It's not really scary because they understand the mechanics of it. But we're not in any way, shape, or form saying that new forms of life are being formed to eliminate humans. Just to be clear.
No, we don't have to worry about that. We're doing enough on our own with the bombing each other.
You bring up a really good point. We're so scared of AI, but why aren't we scared of ourselves? Maybe that's why.
Charlene.
Yeah.
That's why, because if we know how bad we are, then then so if you know how bad we are, and we know the power we're giving, the autonomous power we're giving to the machine, and we're giving, when weaponizing AI, so forget it. I mean, it's real. We the people have to wake up and start electing ourselves to pay attention to the things that actually matter.
Well, now I have a little lighter question.
Yes,
Do
ma'am.
we know if there are any plans to update ChatGPT past info from 2021?
Oh, I'm sure. And then there's obviously competitions between the models, so you'll be seeing a whole lot of explosion of developments in generative AI. I mean, and also, there's plenty of it. All these bots, and hopefully we'll have better bots talking to us when we call for customer service, which is one of it's the same type of AI.
So we look at like COVID. COVID was an accelerator for so many things because it forced us to use a lot of technologies that were already there. And then it allowed new technologies to form and merge. There's a really good question here from Gabriel. Thank you. Um, how does artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning differ from each other? And what are the different types of AI?
Well, I think deep learning is I'm not sure even if this is actually the right forum for us to get into that level of technical differentiations, but one is generative AI is exactly what you see. It's like the chat bots. It's like um, the and the chat GPT. It's probably easier to give some example. Machine learning is exactly what it is. It's self-learning, and it's learning. And I need to try and like when it's much more deep learning is when he focuses in one, like a deep specialty, and it digs deeper and deeper into a particular vertical or a subject matter. What was the rest of the question? I don't know what
I
else.
think just standard artificial intelligence, but wouldn't that be just large language models? Is that like standard AI?
Well, that's what ChatGPT is. What we're talking about when we're saying what's learning on.
Right.
But but less about the technology and more about its application. That what really, I mean, unless everybody should learn about AI and what it means and how it works to some level. But what is important, I think, it's not AI in itself, but it's the combination. When you combine AI together with um, uh, when you combine it together with things like digital twins, together with data visualization, and things like XR, AR, VR, and like things like the metaverse. These are the things when how it's applied. Like when you're think about deep fakes, for example. That's when you're applying technology. You can apply AI, and this person that's sitting here, I could necessarily be actually a deep fake, and you would think it's me, but it's not really me at all. It's a simulation that learned me and created something that sounds like me, looks like me, feels like me, or worse, you could be looking at a video of you,
Mhm.
and you would swear it's you. You yourself would start questioning yourself if it's you.
Well,
And,
and
and
I think a good point to leave off on is AI is a competitive advantage, and it's either a competitive advantage for you or it's a competitive advantage for your competitor. And I think it's important to really, you don't have to use it, but you do have to research and study it and understand what it's capable of, because you want to know the types of technology and tools that your competitor is about to get their hands on, because
yeah,
that's what you're about to be up against.
I mean, I don't think you have. It's everywhere. Actually, it's a lot more around you than you think. If you think that you still have a choice, um, it's just really a matter of how you want to use it, and then it's really important. That just one thing I really, if nothing else, technology is a tool. AI, metaverse, whatever you want, all of them.
Exactly.
They are tools. They are not a them. It's not an it and that it's doing anything to us. It is us that is doing something with it. So
Mhm.
we need to think if we need to think about anything, it's what we want our future to look like, and how we want to advance our state of being. The technology, all of it is a tool.
We have one last really good question here.
Uh-oh.
So, do you see any protection from the FTC or other agency to help reduce the risks from creative scammers and tricksters?
I'm not a big fan of regulation or any of that stuff, but I think there always has to be some guiding principles. I hope that we have enough. So yes, but I hope that we have enough policies put into place, and that we change the incentives. So my goal in life here right now is to create new incentives that eliminate the need to do such things, that eliminate the need to exploit and extract from each other, where you can see your own well-being and that of those around you, so that you don't have to be a scammer or a trickster. I think if we do that in our own policies, at a personal, individual level, at a social, at a community, corporate, and of course we're going to need some, because this is reality, and they'll wait until it's the right time and for them, and then they'll do it.
Well, Lubna, thank you for coming to share your insights. You travel the world. You invest a lot of time, and your whole life has been invested in this. So it was really great of you to come in and share your knowledge with our audience. How can people connect with you? What are you doing these days?
Just connect with Charlene. You'll find me. But you can find me on LinkedIn at Lubna Dajani, at Twitter at Lubna Dajani. You can get in touch with Charlene. She practically always has a radar on me. And if you're interested in contributing to the standards and to the work that we are doing in AI, you don't have to have any technical background or anyone. The bottom line, for anyone can contribute, but feel free. You can let me know. You can let Charlene know, and look at the IEEE website. You don't even have to pay. Organizations like IEEE, like W3C, although W3C have to pay, but there is we're not talking about decentralized identity. So we'll leave the Web3 for next time when we have a conversation. But again, Linux Foundation has a lot of things, but IEEE, the 7000 series, and anyone can participate. Please look it up. The 7014 is the empathic AI, which we're working on. And if you're interested in contributing, we'd love to have you. We work on human generated. Also for Metaverse, we are working on standards, the ethical use of Metaverse, because you can imagine you can be very influential to the audience, and the messages that you can send. And it is a very, very powerful tool. So use it well, and remember to find the kind human inside. It's a lot more fun.
Absolutely. And if you've signed up through Eventbrite for the AI and gamification track, we'll be sending a follow-up summary of all of these events, and Lubna's contact information will be included. Otherwise, you could just go into the People's tab, type in Lubna, and you'll see her there. You can leave her a message. And like she said, if you have a question, feel free to reach out to me or Princess, any of our coordinators. We'll be happy to connect you. Thank you guys for joining us and for all the great questions. And Lubna, thank you for coming with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.